A Simple Wisdom Guide. Chapter 1. Simple Wisdom, Follow Your Soul. Ralph Waldo Emerson and Henry David Thoreau, Kings of Wisdom. Marks of the Genuine. He believes in himself. He speaks the truth. He thinks the truth. He acts the truth. Ralph Waldo Emerson, 1803–1882. To laugh often and much. To win the respect of intelligent people. And the affection of children. To earn the appreciation of honest critics. And endure the betrayal of false friends. To appreciate beauty. To find the best in others. To leave the world a bit better. Whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition. To know even one life has breathed easier. Because you have lived. This is to have succeeded. Ralph Waldo Emerson, 1803–1882. No facts are sacred, none are profane, I simply experiment, an endless seeker, with no past at my back. Ralph Waldo Emerson, 1803–1882. If a man does not keep pace with his companions, perhaps it is because he hears a different drummer. Let him step to the music that he hears, however measured or far away. Henry David Thoreau, 1817–1862. Success usually comes to those who are too busy to be looking for it. Henry David Thoreau, 1817–1862. Renew yourself completely each day, do it again and again and forever again. Henry David Thoreau, Walden. If the day and night are such that you greet them with joy and life emits a fragrance like flowers and sweat-scented herbs, if life feels starry and immortal, that is success. Henry David Thoreau, 1817–1862. Ralph Waldo Emerson, 1803–1882, who wrote Self-Reliance, was an enlightened thinker living in a world of his own creation as all highly creative people do, always contemplating life, thinking his own thoughts and pondering the deep questions of the universe. Emerson, who started out as a minister then gave up the cloth when his first wife died of tuberculosis, didn't believe much in man's institutions, be they religious, political, or educational. He believed only in the power of the individual as lived right here, right now, life in the moment. He believed we each have a unique divine soul and the purpose of life is to obey it. For a guy who lived in those seemingly primitive times so long ago, his insights are as fresh and original as if they had been written today in these modern technologically advanced times. I personally believe that his few books easily blow away all of today's conventional psychobabble in terms of truth and inspiration. I didn't come across him until I was mostly finished with this book, but upon reading his essays, I was amazed at how the two of us independently came to many of the same conclusions about the human condition. In my opinion, he's one of the wisest men around, and he went through hell too, losing a 5-year-old son to scarlet fever shortly after losing his first wife. I'd say Emerson, Mark Twain, Samuel Clemens, and Benjamin Franklin are the three giants of American freethinkers. I'd put Thoreau in there, but he never had a chance to mature. He died so young, in his mid-40s, before he could amass a wealth of material like the others. If you want one other book to help keep you inspired and give you insight beyond this one, read Self-Reliance. It amazes me how a guy living in the time before mass media had the wisdom to come up with all this wise stuff that he did. I got no excuses not to, since I'm pounded with a couple of hundred ideas every day. It's very easy to pick out what I want from everything that's out there. Emerson created all his stuff out of thin air from his own mind. According to Emerson, all organizations lead to the mechanization of thought, particularly academia. He believed your soul and power are already within you when you're born. An authentic life and authentic education is to simply let it unfold freely by exploring your creative thoughts and whims. Truly creative people develop the inner discipline within to try to live great, cultured lives. They don't have to be molded any which way whatsoever. Henry David Thoreau, 1817–1862, had similar views to Ralph Waldo Emerson. In fact, Emerson let Thoreau stay at his house for a while in exchange for maintenance and gardening work. Look for their books at around number 814 or PS 1603 at the library. Emerson's famous book is Self-Reliance and to a lesser extent, Essays. Thoreau's great book is Walden. The two books are similar treatises on beauty and simplicity of living close to nature. This is the basis on which all great thinkers live their lives. This is the frontier and the greatest lifestyle, living freely by your own thoughts, generating your keep this way and enjoying the journey along the way by exploring your whims and passions. killdevilhill.com/waldenpondchat/www.board.html, Henry David Thoreau. state.ma.us/dem/park/wooden.htm, Golden Pond, where Henry David Thoreau lived. umsa.umd.edu Thoreau, Henry David Thoreau. Henry David Thoreau's Walden, 1854. Tired of modern society even in those primitive times. You can find the audiobook of Walden at YouTube Walden, full audiobook, or libribooks.org. I was listening to it. I couldn't believe that he was talking about men selling their souls to modern society even back then. He said men are not building their own houses anymore. They are working for others. He implied be your own man. Do what you want freely. Earn your money and sustenance through your own efforts without being subservient to others. He wanted to live the simple, natural life. According to en.wikipedia.org/wiki/Henry_David_Thoreau, he died in 1862 at 44 of tuberculosis. He was ahead of his time. He understood that materialism and capitalism, once it goes beyond material comfort to luxury, destroys people's lives. Most of the luxuries and many of the so-called comforts of life are not only not indispensable, but positive hindrances to the elevation of mankind. The Simple Life 1. The following articles come from my money book. When you ain't got nothing, you got nothing to lose. Bob Dylan. What you don't spend, you don't have to waste time in the workforce earning. That Bob Dylan quote makes a lot of sense. We've all been so brainwashed to work our butts off for our future security that the stress and the hard work kills us. I own very little. This is the way I want it because I lived through a materialistic stage that left me empty, so I went to the exact opposite side. I now live for spirit and only own what I need. I don't even wanna mow lawns, which is why my lawn is as teensy as possible. I disposed of a lot of my material things about 15 years ago. I just got over it. I realized it was a bill of goods being sold to me by the system. I now live a reasonably simple, uncluttered life. I buy what I need and don't bother with trivial leisure goods because I'm wise enough to know that they do nothing for my intrinsic happiness. I have no pride about status, nor do I want to keep up with the Joneses. The simple life frees you to spend time on doing what you enjoy or do nothing if you so desire, which is my definition of peace. If you don't have email, you don't have to waste your time looking through all those junk email ads. You spend most of your time in one spot in the house sitting down watching TV. Most of the other rooms don't get used. If you don't have a big house, you don't have to waste time cleaning it, remodeling it, buying furniture for it, paying high taxes on it, mowing your big lawn, and the list goes on. Realize that the simple life materially is the best way to be and live it. The simple life is more philosophical, peaceful, balanced, slower, intimate and cozy than the materialistic, cheap thrill lifestyle. The heroes of the simple lifestyle in my view are Henry David Thoreau, who lays out his philosophy in his book Walden, Ralph Waldo Emerson, who wrote Self-Reliance, and Daniel Boone, the true pioneer who did for himself all of his life right to the bitter end, moving out of Carolina and into Tennessee at the age of 72 to build a new house for himself and start all over again because he wanted his own peace uncluttered by encroaching civilization. Some of Henry David Thoreau's thoughts are as follows. I am sure that I have never read any memorable news in a newspaper. To a philosopher, all news, as it is called, is gossip, and they who edit and read it are old women over their tea. Yet not a few are greedy after this gossip. Instead of studying how to make it worth men's while to buy my baskets, I studied rather how to avoid the necessity of selling them. Our life is frittered away by detail. An honest man has hardly need to count more than his 10 fingers, or in extreme cases, he may add his 10 toes and lump the rest. Simplicity, simplicity, simplicity. Don't spend more than you earn. Do without. Happiness is in your head and in your heart, not in consumer goods or the shopping addiction. You don't have to keep up with the Joneses for status sake. My point in all of this is not to come off like a flaming sap and naively tell you to give it all up in search for higher enlightenment. Rather, I'm just telling you to get some real perspective in your life. You go out and spend $100 for those cutsy boots that do nothing for how you feel inside, so you keep filling up your closet, then you worry because you're in debt. Meanwhile, 60% of the world's population is sick and hungry, worrying about where their next meal is coming from, while you stuff your face with a treat from some junk food place and then buy some useless weight loss product and some overhyped exercise machine, and you think you got problems. Need is a relative concept. Your happiness comes from within, in your soul. A slower-paced lifestyle where you do things for yourself is better for your health and mental well-being. Simple living is not an end itself. It's merely a means which frees you up to do other things like really enjoy your life. Make it a point to live simpler, happier, more wholesome lives and get rid of some of the material things. Ask yourself what you really want out of life, devoid of all the extraneous bull pushing at you to be a certain way. Share things with other people to save money. Share a house together if you have to. Share a car, telephone, washer and dryer, etc. Share chores and other things with neighbors and friends, like you babysit for them, they babysit for you. The simple life too. Even though it's a boring subject, educate yourself about money. Read this book, then fill in the gaps at number 332 at the library. If you don't have enough money, develop fewer needs and or get another job or work more hours at your present one. The simple life philosophy is clearly demonstrated by the story of a buddy of mine who was diagnosed with prostate cancer at the age of 49 after a life of hard work which yielded him a big mansion. He sat in his big house, which was more than 3 families could comfortably live in, and finally realized the truth of it all, that he could have had a lot more fun working a lot less and would have been happier with a small, 3-bedroom house in the country, putting around in a little garden out back. He had worked all his life chasing his illusion of the American dream, the big house, always pushing harder because in his mind, he was always thinking that he needed a bigger swimming pool, another status toy, and it never stopped until he got the cancer and had to confront reality. It took a serious disease to bring him down to earth, back to reality. So why don't you do some soul searching about your materialistic lifestyle? The moral to the story is live a simple life for health and happiness. People who are poor, middle class or even rich materially are often not happy because their problem is not material or exclusively material in the case of poor people. It's a meld of spirituality, hedonism, the ability to enjoy life, peace of mind and inspiration. We have all been conditioned to think that money equals happiness when it doesn't. Money up to about $50,000 a year will relieve us of the burdens of worrying about it, but beyond that, money will not enhance your life all that much, and even with an income of $50,000 or more a year, you're not guaranteed happiness, only material comfort. Some of the wealthiest people around can buy all the cheap thrills they want, but they are not happy. Money is good up to that point of $50,000 to give you a materially comfortable standard of living, but if you want happiness, you have to discover your true nature and build an inspired, sensual, loving lifestyle around it. In general, it's cheaper or less expensive to live in small towns and in the country rather than in bigger cities. The demands of status aren't there. Things cost less. Houses cost less. Property taxes are much less. You do things for yourself. There is less pressure to keep up with the Joneses. The lifestyle is different, generally more relaxed. This low-stress environment could save your life or at least add a few years to it. Develop a philosophy of buying only what you need. Personally, I don't do recreational shopping. If I need something like my most recent purchase, a keyboard, I walk into the mall, go to the exact store that sells the product I want, buy it then leave the mall. Most people are not like this. They have incorporated recreational shopping into their lifestyles because they have been brainwashed by corporate advertising and pop culture to think that it's cool to go shopping, that the mall is a cool, fun, happening place to be. If this is you, you must have a pretty dull life to do this at the expense of other, more interesting soulful activities. When you go recreational shopping and you see a product or article of clothing you like, think about it 6 months from now. Will it be on a junk pile in your house taking up room, or will you actually be using it? A basic psychology of sales is the status pitch, not just the pitch that if you buy a $80,000 Mercedes, everybody will be looking at you as a cool, smashing, financial success, but the more subtle, insidious kind, the kind telling you to go ahead and buy these expensive things because, as they like to say, you're worth it, implying that you deserve a break today because you're such a fascinating, cool person, when in fact what you are is a sucker for being into this line. The other one is the subtle implication that you don't measure up or are inferior if you don't buy the expensive stuff. I called a company up about getting dial-up internet service, and right away, the guy tried to make me feel like a low-class buffoon because I was not ordering DSL, which cost double for basically the same service, only faster. I didn't think it was worth it for the few times a week I use the internet. Salespeople do this all the time. They indirectly try to shame or embarrass you into buying the more expensive option, or simply buying when you're indecisive about it. They know that people are afraid to admit they can't afford something because this implies that you're a failure in life. It's cooler to act like you're doing fine in the world with money to spend, so they try to reel you in by saying everybody or all the cool people are now buying this product, implying that you're cool too, so you want to keep up your image to the salesperson and to yourself at the same time, so you buy against your better judgments and the sales guy doesn't even remember you a week later. This is why I know exactly what I want. I often phone the stores before I go, I buy it and that's it. The Simple Life 3. A lot of preachers develop sermons around money and wealth, and some even go on tour, promoting a set of tapes on how to be wealthy or how to live well even if you're materially poor. One such preacher came to my locale and gave an afternoon seminar. The following are the main points I gleaned from him. Believe in God. Keep your religious faith strong. Keep the family strong. Help each other. Help the church, help others regardless of how poor you are. Don't take the low road. Keep your moral standards high. Don't steal or cheat. Don't gamble. Don't use drugs or alcohol. They just bring you down. Pay back all your debts, then never borrow again unless it's for a mortgage. Drive an old clunker if you must in order to avoid debt. Live modestly. There are needs and desires. Focus on your needs and the occasional desire or two as a reward to keep yourself motivated. Keep your self-respect by always going out in public neat and clean. Don't let yourself go. Save as much money as you can. Make your car, tools, and gadgets last by taking care of them and fixing them when they break down. Don't be frivolous or wasteful. This is not only sensible, but it keeps you in line with the harmony of the universe as advanced by enlightened people like the original native Indians, who take what they need and leave the rest, which goes against our capitalist consumeristic society which wants us to work, eat, consume, and spend incessantly so everybody can make money, then try to get happy by spending it. Be focused in your life. Know what you want in both the material and spiritual realms and stick with your plan without succumbing to the superficial distractions of the world. The biggest trap most people get into in our society is that as they climb the ladder of success at work, feel as though they have arrived and spend money on useless, trivial things that they don't really need. True prosperity is getting what you need to live for peace of mind and happiness. The externals won't do it. Happiness only comes from within the soul. In the old days, 100 or so years ago, people had to do a lot for themselves, mostly by hand. They were closer to nature, God, and to their inner thoughts since they had nothing to distract them like TV or radio. Capitalism had not yet sunk its teeth into the carnal nature of the beast, but when it did, it succeeded in creating a world of insatiable consumers who always want more, more, more. You can enjoy your life without spending lots of money, just know where to look. At one place, tennis lessons might cost a mint, but you will probably get away cheap or free at the YMCA. Buy things at flea markets, thrift stores, etc. These little things add up, especially after my buddy told me he shelled out $200 upfront for tennis lessons with $30 a pop for each half hour. Movies cost almost $10 at the theater. There's nothing in the world that's worth it to me to pay $10 to see in the way of movies with all the free entertainment on TV. Think long and hard and get rid of the liabilities or the things that cost more than the value that you get out of them. For instance, my father once had a summer cottage which was fun and fine for a while, but we grew up, didn't go there much, and it got kinda boring, so he sold it and we just started going on trips for the weekends. We'd go to different campgrounds and state parks, and we had just as much fun, if not more, meeting different people and doing different things than we had at our cottage. And there are other things like the big RV or the big boat that you use 2 weeks a year, if that. It's not the big boat that counts, it's really going out and doing something with your family, like having a picnic or going out for a drive together. You can always rent a boat or an RV or go out on a fishing charter for a couple bucks those few times a year. If you have kids, you really don't have to buy anything new until they're at least 5 years old. Thrift stores and garage sales are full of baby clothes, toys, etc., unless you're too proud for that kinda stuff. The easiest way to save money is to trim/simplify, move down a notch in your perceived standard of living below your means, conserve, and don't be a slave to materialism. Possessions can cause more problems than they're worth. Think like a Buddhist, don't own more than you can carry. Although I own a few material things, I think like a Buddhist, and it keeps me free from this trivial, materialistic world. I can fit everything I own into a van. I don't view life as dollars and cents and whether I'm up or down money-wise. The Buddhists say that attachment is the root of all human suffering. Think about it. We're conditioned to think that spending money on the so-called luxuries equates to a happier lifestyle, but the fact is that for most of us, money is not a guarantee for happiness. It's a spiritual test of character and should only be used as a tool to do things that really matter. We all have a comfort level that gives us that warm, fuzzy feeling that no matter what, everything's alright in our own little private world, but I say, how far could you go if you really had to? For half my life, I lived in cheap little dive apartments with a hot plate and sometimes even without hot water or a shower. Big deal. I was still better off than 90% of the world's population, not to mention the hell my parents lived through in Poland during World War II. The point is that when your back is to the wall money-wise, you can do without a lot of the crap if you want to. People on welfare in this country still have their cable, color TV, while when I have met people in emerging nations who have never seen a TV before. True happiness probably doesn't cost all that much. You have to respect money and not spend it uselessly on stupid things. Get away from this notion of shopping as recreation. Shopping is a functional act done for the purpose of getting the supplies you need. It's not supposed to be a frivolous adventure to try to fill up your otherwise empty life. If you have to go shopping on a Saturday afternoon because you have got nothing better to do, get a real life, go out hiking, volunteer to help some handicapped kids or something. This brainwashing thing particularly applies to the cultural stereotype of what a woman is. The media sends out the frivolous message: lose weight, be skinny, buy makeup, go shopping, buy clothes. First off, every weight loss plan is a scam. It's all about attitude, but it's not just about saving money. It's about releasing yourself from that materialistic lifestyle and becoming a spiritual person, living not just for yourself but to be a part of the world and do things with others in a good, positive way. If you're a Christian, then by definition you're supposed to be humble and care about the world. You're not concerned much with materialistic and frivolous things beyond functionality. Life has a deeper meaning. You should concern yourself with giving of yourself and giving what you have to your fellow man. The less you own, the more satisfied, happier and thankful you should be with what you do have. Be thankful for what you got. In my opinion, our society is lost because we try to develop big amusement parks and an enormous amount of trivial pursuits when happiness does not even remotely come from any of those things. It comes from developing your own character as a human being and doing meaningful things with your life. We use, we waste, and we always want more. We value our lives in terms of sensual pleasures. It's always me, taking, using, exploiting, drowning ourselves in our gluttonous little worlds of self-gratification when we don't realize that happiness is going the other way towards peace of mind and realizing that somebody somewhere is worse off than you and needs your help. I'm not saying be a hermit or a monk, but get real. Get some perspective back. Get back to nature to ease your mind and enjoy yourself. Nature has always been the healer. Instead of going to the mall next Saturday, go out to the country for a hike and a picnic. A simple life is the way it's supposed to be. Doing something for others every once in a while might just bring you greater pleasures than all those cheap thrills you have been conditioned to go for, like amusement parks and video games.